The Coca-Cola splashed across his frail shoulders, soaking into the old brown jacket he had worn for years. The sticky liquid dripped down onto the cracked pavement, glistening under the cruel sunlight. Around him, laughter echoed, loud, careless, and cruel. The group of young men, all in their late teens, couldn't stop chuckling as they recorded the moment on their phones. "Look at him flinch," one said between bursts of laughter, while another tilted the bottle again, letting the soda run down the elderly man's neck. The old woman beside him tried to wipe it away with trembling hands, her eyes filled with tears she couldn't hold back any longer. On the side of the road, a little girl, no more than 7 years old, cried uncontrollably, her voice breaking as she pleaded for them to stop. But the laughter only grew louder. If you believe that kindness, respect, and second chances still matter in this world, please take a moment to like this video, share it, and subscribe to Kindness Corner, where we keep humanity alive through real powerful stories like this one. The elderly couple's names were Harold and May Thompson. They had been married for 53 years, living quietly in a small suburban neighborhood where everyone used to wave when they passed. Harold had once been a carpenter. May had spent her life teaching children how to read. But that afternoon, they sat broken on the curb, drenched in humiliation, while strangers mocked them. They had been returning from the local grocery store where they bought a small bag of bread, milk, and canned soup. When they paused to rest on the curb, the group of young men noticed them and decided to make them the subject of their funny video. Harold had tried to reason with them at first, asking them to stop, his voice shaky but calm. He wasn't angry, just tired. "Please, son. We mean no harm," he had said. But kindness doesn't always reach hardened hearts. One of the boys, tall, in a black t-shirt and backward cap, smirked and shook the Coca-Cola bottle before pouring it over Harold's head. His friends erupted in laughter. One even crouched to take a better video angle as May began to cry softly beside her husband. A few feet away stood Leah, a small girl with tear-streaked cheeks and trembling hands. She was the neighbor's granddaughter visiting for the day. When she saw what was happening, she ran out from her front yard, shouting for them to stop. She stood in front of Harold and May, spreading her tiny arms as if her little body could shield them from cruelty. "Please stop!" she screamed, her voice cracking. But instead of stopping, one of the boys laughed and recorded her too, saying, "Look, the little hero's crying." None of them noticed the figure walking toward them in the distance. Ethan Thompson, Harold and May's only son, had returned home from a long deployment overseas. A Navy SEAL for over a decade, Ethan had seen war, the kind that leaves scars deep in the soul. He had seen men crumble, civilians cry, and entire cities burn. But nothing prepared him for this, for the sight of his aging parents being humiliated on a quiet suburban street, while strangers filmed and laughed. He had planned to surprise them with his visit that afternoon. He hadn't been home in almost 2 years. He was walking down the street, still in his camouflage uniform, when he saw the crowd. At first, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Then, as realization hit, his body tensed. His heart pounded in his chest, not from fear, but from a storm of emotions he could barely contain. He slowed his pace, his boots crunching softly on the pavement, eyes locked on the scene ahead. The sunlight glinted off the metal tag on his vest. Each step carried the weight of restrained fury. The laughter died first. One of the young men noticed him approaching, tall, broad-shouldered, eyes cold and unwavering. Ethan didn't have to raise his voice. His presence alone made them step back. "What's funny?" he asked, his tone steady but sharp enough to slice through the air. No one answered. The boy holding the bottle dropped it, the last of the soda fizzing at his feet. The others exchanged nervous glances, unsure whether to run or apologize. Ethan walked right past them and knelt beside his parents. He took his father's hand, sticky with soda and trembling, and whispered, "Dad, it's me." May let out a small cry, one of recognition, relief, and heartbreak all at once. She reached for her son's arm as if to make sure he was real. The bullies began to shuffle away quietly, but Ethan wasn't finished. He stood up slowly, towering over them. You think this is funny? He asked again, his voice now heavy with emotion. That's my mother and father. They built this country while you record your cruelty for likes. His eyes glistened, not with rage, but with something deeper, disappointment. The young man couldn't meet his gaze. The one who poured the soda finally muttered, We were just joking.